About to get started here. Just waiting for people to come on through. See what we got going on tonight. Mind me, I may be a bit rusty or a bit like kind of out of it. Not for long though, but let's see. I'm gonna turn it down just a little bit. There we go. Nah, I'm gonna turn it off. There we go. All right, so welcome to another episode of What the Fuck Just Happened, featuring moi here, DJ81, and my co-host Bills. Say hello to the people.
What's going on, people? Whoever's out there right now, not looking at the YouTube video, whoever's in here, welcome, and make it known in the comment section. Honestly,
Yeah, it's gonna be one of those nights where may get some people, may get our hardcores. I'm like, if we get our hardcores, they'll probably start rolling in by like 7 o'clock. That's why I think I may push it back to 7 o'clock on another episode, maybe next episode, because 6:30, everyone's either, if you're on the East Coast, you're either coming home from work, probably tired, you probably just got your other foot in the door, and you want to just relax a little bit before you sit in front of a podcast. Which, tell you the truth,
top, all kind of things going on.
Hey, you could be listening to the podcast while you're getting some. So I mean, whatever floats your boat, whoever. Well, that's what she's doing. But anyway, what's up,
or sinking your boat in some cases.
You sank my battleship. Anyway, we got Complimentary Sports in the chat. I see him in there. Hey, what's up, Complimentary?
What's going on, Complimentary?
Always faithful, always arriving. And he comes with misspellings and all that. You guys will see that later on.
All encompassing.
Mm-hmm. Still love him though. Anyway,
he's better than Pooh. I mean,
Oh wow, I didn't think we were gonna go there, but oh yeah, where was it? Let's see. I know the last time I did an episode, I don't know if I mentioned the fact that the Commanders beat the Eagles, and the only team to beat the Eagles thus far. So I think I may have mentioned that. So, but we kind of went in. Let's see. Our game against the Giants resulted in a tie. That was.
Yeah, y'all fucking up my picks. Is what y'all were doing. Y'all were fucking up my picks.
I mean, I was at work and I was following on the game cast and I was looking at the stats. Now, I was looking at Heineke's stats and his stats were just horrible for most of the game. And I was hearing rumbles of complaints about him just overthrowing people left and right.
Yep.
And to tell you the truth, they really shouldn't have him passing that much. That's kind of crazy. And I think that's the fault of Scott Turner. When you have a quarterback that has a tendency to do that when he's throwing too much, because that's the pattern. Whenever he's thrown a lot of passes, there's more chances he'll float a bunch of easy passes over receivers. But tell you what, he's better than Carson Wentz. That's the sad part. It's like I could deal with those floaters as long as he's not like throwing interceptions in the red zone like Wentz and kind of just throwing it in.
Yeah.
So, all right. So this is episode 46. As you can see in the title below in the banner, it says Jerry World or Plantation. I'm just going to open up and say it like this. I tried to tell you guys that he's running Plantation. How long have I been saying this about the Dallas Cowboys and owner Jerry Jones?
Since we were on the podcast, which should not be named.
Right. So when I meant that was a plantation down there in Texas, in Dallas, Texas, I meant every single second of it, every single bit of it.
Cotton and shit.
Mm-hmm. And let me see. I do have an image to produce that solidifies everything. And let me see if I can bring it up. Let me make sure. You know what? I should have already had it ready. So this may be a fail on my part, but uh, there we go. Nope, that's not gonna work. You know what? You guys already seen the image, so it's not gonna it's not gonna make it.
Terrible broadcasting. I got a picture for y'all. Fuck it, y'all already saw it. Y'all know what it looks like.
See, it's funny because I thought StreamYard had like a quick and easy feature that I could have used to just bring it up. But I would have had to share the screen, and I thought I could upload a file. So yeah, okay, I take the L for that. But yeah, you know the deal. Jerry Jones definitely running a plantation down in Dallas. So, but people had some interesting comments about this picture because basically the picture was of Jerry Jones as a 14-year-old. In the background, in the foreground of that picture were other white teenagers getting ready to assault or just harass the black students that was entering the school because this was the time where schools were being integrated between blacks and whites. So then this is down the deep south. So I think LeBron James is the most prominent to say something about this. Now, I never really dug into what LeBron James said because when China pops up, he has nothing to say. So it's one of those things where it's just like I commend LeBron for speaking out, but he needs to speak out on every issue of civil rights to include China. Just saying. So, Bills, what are your thoughts?
Um, well, let's make it clear that he was in the foreground of the picture, but he was in the front of that pack of white people. So while you might have been in the foreground of the actual picture, you weren't in the foreground of that fucking pack that was opposing those white people. You were in the front. You were on the front lines. Right? You were Meg the Stallion in the front of the pack for Hot Girl Summer. You were right up there. You were right with Sweetie and all them other broads, right? What sticks out to me more than anything is that the media always finds these coons and house niggas to defend it, right? It's like they're like Samuel L. Jackson and Django.
Oh,
when they come out and start speaking about, I love me some Jerry Jones. Yeah, I'm talking about you, Stephen A. Smith. You fucking coon. Right? You for months upon months, you had all that smoke for Kyrie. Who didn't want to take a vaccine. And then subsequently after that, shared a link to a documentary that still hasn't been taken down.
Oh, and latest on that, Amazon has come out and said we ain't taking shit down.
Taking it down.
So now what y'all gonna do?
So Amazon is even like, well, fuck y'all. We don't see no issue with it. So you had all the smoke for that. And then you want to go and retract the statement about Kyrie, and then you want to come back, and all of a sudden, Kyrie, you want to defend Kyrie halfway. But Jerry Jones, oh, he's just a 14-year-old. Oh, this was years ago. Why do we care about this? We care about it because motherfuckers ain't being consistent. How old was Trayvon Martin?
Shoot, Emmett Till. How about that?
How was Emmett Till? Okay. So, and then what Jerry Jones said about all the people that were there were no racists there. They were curious. Motherfucking curious about what? They knew what was going on. They weren't curious. Even if you were curious, you don't speak for everybody there. If I go to a strip club and I'm there to see some titties and DJ ain't there to see some titties, DJ can't say, well, nobody's here to see some titties because I ain't here to see some titties, so ain't nobody here to see some titties. There's titties out. Motherfucker throwing ones on the stage. DJ's like, nah, I didn't see nobody that wanted to see titties. Yeah, motherfucker, everybody but you want to see titties, apparently. Apparently, you're the only motherfucker that didn't. It's bullshit. Don't speak for everybody else. Don't defend motherfuckers that are there that were probably your friends that you're trying to now stick up for and protect their reputation. No. Even if let's go along with your claim that you were there for the curiosity factor. You fought your way all the way to the front of that fucking pack,
Hmm.
being curious. Because most times motherfuckers that are curious are also cautious. And you weren't
Oh,
cautious about that shit, were you?
yeah, I was just trying to see what was going on.
Yeah, you'd have been standing in the back on your fucking tippy toes if you just wanted to see what the fuck was going on. You knew exactly what was going on.
Hmm.
That's the first part. The second part is, weren't you the same motherfucker to say you ain't gonna be a cowboy if you take a knee and protest that fucking national anthem? Wasn't that you too? So how can we believe you? You have yet to come out and condemn racism of any kind. You haven't done it. Instead, you defended the people who were there and basically said, well, they're not racist, but you haven't condemned actual racism. You haven't. You've only perpetuated it, really.
Yeah, and then on top of that, how many black coaches has he had there? Like, anyone know of any black coaches that have even interviewed for a job with the Cowboys? I
How about
mean,
how about the motherfuckers that scraped and clawed and made your franchise relevant in the 90s? Do they have any type of spot on your team in the front office as a consultant? No. Emmitt Smith don't got shit on that team. Michael Irvin don't got shit on that team. You can name
yeah.
a bunch of other people. Oh, wouldn't you be the motherfucker that said Deion Sanders is a great coach in the SWAC conference? Maybe I should pay attention to what he's doing in Colorado, and if he has some success, maybe I consider bringing him in to do something?
Hmm.
Nah, you won't do that. You're too busy defending shit from years ago instead of condemning it and saying I've moved past it and gotten better as a man. You don't want to do that. You want to downplay it. But like I said, motherfuckers weren't downplaying shit that Kyrie didn't even say. Just posted a link.
Hmm.
And they called that promoting it. Well, what is Jerry Jones promoting by basically defending everybody there as if he knew everybody's intentions in their head? He's a fucking mind reader? Oh, there weren't any racists there. Everybody was just curious. Oh, really, Jerry? Well, you know what we're curious about? When are you going to fucking hire a person of color in a power position? That's what we're curious about.
Well, that's what happens on in Jerry's Ranch, or the Plantation, as I've so-called named it for several years now. And all you Cowboys fans, yes, my mother is a Cowboy fan. I love you, Mom, but you're gonna have to not necessarily burn the Emmitt Smith jersey, but you're gonna have to disassociate yourself from the Cowboys, because at this point, I mean, it's hook, line, and sinker. Um, I don't know the man personally, but he was in that photo and he was there. He wasn't just curious. I'm like, he was bright, wide eyed, bushy eyed, whatever you want to call it, just looking and seeing what was going on. And yeah, what was our list of demands? I think somebody had a list of demands. I might have to pull it up. It won't be pulled up on here though,
I've seen
because StreamYard is kind of,
I've seen several lists of demands.
yeah. Let me see. I mean, because I had some that I was gonna pop up on here. Let's see. I'm gonna have to read them out for y'all. Okay, so got a list of demands for Jerry Jones. So number one, apologize for anti-black racist behavior.
That's an easy one. That's a drop in the bucket.
Number two, condemn anti-black racism.
Easy one.
Mhm. Number three, meet with black community leaders of our choice. Now, this is going to be a tough one because where are they? If you think about it,
Who are they?
exactly. Like, where are the black leaders that? Because it just seems like it depends on what region of the country you go to. That I'm like, we could talk about. Well, Jesse Jackson is well out the picture. The other guy, we don't even talk about him no more.
The worst of Cedric the Entertainer from Barbershop. Fuck Jesse Jackson.
Yeah, we are lacking black leadership, so we know that's not going to happen. Okay, what was the next one? Let me bring it back up. Oops. Okay, so community leaders. Number 4, donate $10 million to Black institutions of our choice.
That's like 10 cents to him, so come on.
Yeah, but on top of that, we don't even donate to Black institutions. So what we're doing like HBCUs just got abandoned by Deion Sanders. So I mean, it is what it is, and we'll be talking about Deion Sanders and his move to Colorado because that's definitely a hot topic. People got plenty to say with a little bit of knowledge, but I'm gonna just leave it at that. Okay, and the next one was attend sensitivity training, whatever that consists of.
Same thing Riley Cooper did before he was allowed to come back, and well, whatever.
Mm-hmm.
You know.
And then number 6.
Oh boy.
You're gonna love this one.
Oh Lord.
This will actually combine with number 3 because this is the only one I would throw at him. Meet with Minister Farrakhan to demonstrate understanding.
Basically, get chewed out by Minister Farrakhan.
That's basically the Black leadership in as far as we're concerned. I'm like,
Dr. Umar.
Oh, yeah, that's right, Dr. Umar. Throw Tommy Sotomayor at him.
You just want this motherfucker to get torn to shreds.
Right. I don't think Tommy would tear him to shreds. I think he would.
Might agree with him. He might side with him.
Just on a logical stance. I don't think he like
troll people.
Right. That too. Like he's actually been kind of non-existent as of late, but he's been popping back
banned
up.
from every fucking platform, damn near,
except Rumble and Twitch. I'm like he's been streaming from there, but he's been streaming from I think a different location. I think I don't know what's going on there, but I'm not even. I just watch. I enjoy his content, so I'm glad that that those are the 2 remaining platforms that hasn't been flagged off of. I think that's crazy. So this is the last bit on Jerry Jones. It's just a simple fact that I was right. I was right this whole entire time. You Cowboys fans need to realize that just like our team needs to get rid of our owner for being a dirt bag, your team has a racist owner. Chew on that. All right, Bill's last thoughts.
Until further notice, fuck Jerry Jones. Quite frankly,
Mm-hmm.
I don't like how he came out and just basically absolved himself and everybody that was in that picture. I don't think that served him well. But in this, to go to what LeBron said, LeBron simply said, "Well, you asked me about Kyrie Irving, but you haven't asked me a single question about Jerry Jones. The first thing y'all asked me was about Kyrie Irving, the very day that shit blew up. You haven't asked me about Jerry Jones yet."
Oh yeah, and another thing, who doesn't get talked about? Brett Favre.
Oh yeah,
because,
just a reminder: Brett Favre stole from poor people in his own state.
Mm-hmm. And while everyone's talking about Deshaun Watson, kind of talking about Jerry Jones, talking about we're going to be talking about Deion Sanders next. But out of all the people that that have the light shining on them currently for really no reason, Brett Favre should be the one that everyone should be shining on, because it's not that he stole from just black or white. He stole from everybody. So,
and the fact that he's still in denial, despite the fact that they have text messages of him asking, "You're sure I'm not going to get caught, right?" To build a fucking volleyball stadium for his daughter at her school. Give me a fucking break.
All in the name of whatever. So, all right. So let's get to the Deion Sanders situation. So if you guys haven't heard, he's leaving Jackson State. He's leaving Jackson State for the University of Colorado. So he's leaving Mississippi for Colorado. So I'm kind of mixed about this. I'm like, I understand that HBCUs don't operate on a large budget to be able to do the things that Deion Sanders was able to do, but I also commend the fact that Deion Sanders was able to do the things he was able to do in Jackson State. Get primetime recruits, no pun intended, uh, and pretty much bring attention to HBCUs that really no one else has been able to. I'm like, you had legacy coaches, um, coaches that like you schools that I remember I used to watch growing up in the 90s, Grambling, Southern. I had a former teammate that went to Southern. But like throughout the years, you heard less of them as they were just kind of put aside. Even the halftime show at the Bayou Classic was kind of a sideshow, even though that was usually the main show. But it was kind of like you didn't really hear about it up until Dion uh, joined up with Jackson State. So it's one of those things where, as a coach starting out, and this kind of reminds me of like playing NCAA 14 when you're like the coach and you start out at a small school. If you do like a coach career mode, you start out at the small schools and then you build your reputation and you get to bigger schools. I think ultimately he's going to wind up at Florida State. That's going to be the end goal in college as far as he is concerned. But um, yeah, I don't think he used Jackson State. I don't think he used HBCUs. I think it was a moment where HBCUs got more recognition, got more money, got more visibility than they had in decades. And all the schools in the league should be proud.
I mean, the more it's just funny. It's like if he's a sellout, if you don't respect him, if you say that he's done nothing, then that means that Jackson State would have no issue with him pulling out all the facilities that he basically built with his own salary out of the
Mm-hmm.
school, and you can go back to the doldrums where you were, and be like every other school in that fucking league that decided they were not going to actually put money that they do have donated to them towards actually bettering the school. They'd instead just lean on the, well, we're just the poor, historically black college that nobody wants to fund. It's like, nah, motherfuckers, everybody in that conference is doing self serving shit and making excuses as to why they can't better it. Here's another question. Would you rather him just up and get a job at Colorado automatically without ever coaching at JSU? Would you rather that? Oh, you wouldn't rather that. Okay, cool. Would you rather him go undefeated at JSU, win the conference championship, and then be hung literally by the school when he maybe doesn't go undefeated next year? Because see, here's the thing: when you set a standard like that at that school, as soon as you start dropping, all of a sudden it's, whoa, what's happening to Dion? What's going on with Dion? Why aren't they as dominant as they used to be?
Mm.
It can only go downhill from there. It's just like he said: you either elevate or you get terminated. You either get elevated or you get terminated. Everybody's goal in college football, I don't care whether they tell you this or not. Every coach's goal is to coach at a Division I school, to coach in a huge stadium, to make the most fucking money. And he said it's not about money. We have to remember, he's trying to get his kids to the NFL. He's trying to get his coaches that were working at JSU more fucking money. Because he already has money. But he can't go without them. Because if he does, it looks even worse. He took this job to elevate other people below him, not just himself. So the way that they're calling him selfish, they're actually selfish themselves. They want him to stay there and keep, swag on this pedestal, but they don't want to work themselves to actually get it there. Here's another thing. Why are black people looked down upon when they do what other races, mostly white people, do as far as nepotism and using their resources to better the place that they're at? Why are black people looked down upon for that? Let's be honest. And this is not a racist thing that I'm about to say, but you can take it however the fuck you want to take it. White people have the resources to get their kids into good schools, to get their kids good jobs, to get their kids positions that they might not actually be qualified for it. When a black person does it, that's when y'all start talking about nepotism and selling out.
Mm.
Miss me with that shit.
Yeah, and it's funny because you know I know growing up, I was always taught to like lean on my friends or if I have something going on to include people that I know. That was the early stages of networking. And it's the very thing that white people use with their family, with hence nepotism, and even close friends and associates. So, if it's good for them, it should be good for us. But I'm like, I do see the stigmatism around it, and it's just like I think there's like some type of mistrust when it comes to that, even amongst our own. Because we look at our own. Sometimes we don't even want to consider to bring our own along. So when Deion Sanders is doing what he's doing, it's kind of like a foreign concept to us.
Right.
So, like I
I
said,
mean,
I oh no, go ahead.
now I was gonna say, and then the other thing is that I don't know what people expect to happen from here on out in the SWAC conference and with historically black colleges
Hmm.
as a whole. But you should look at the blueprint of what he did and try to elevate your own school
Hmm.
to that point and know you're not going to have the pedigree of a Deion Sanders. But it's about the blueprint of him basically not accepting anything less.
Hmm. Yeah, because
And yeah, don't drop your fucking standards. Like it's just weird. It's baffling to me that folks never considered him ever leaving. Like he's just gonna stay here forever and help y'all, but y'all ain't even helping yourselves. He came and put a microscope and brought attention to that conference. And even if you call it self-serving, everything y'all are doing is self-serving too. Let's remember, y'all playing on ESPN against his squad, and after the game's over, you're basically saying he's not swag, he's not this, he's not that. So why do you still want him there then? Y'all are the same motherfuckers talking about he's not actually swag. He's not one of us. So why are you mad that he's leaving? Because he what? You feel like he proved you right? No, now you actually have to pull your own weight and get your own school a platform that people will actually pay attention to, and you don't like it. You were fine with benefiting from playing against his team, but you don't like the fact that now he's elevating. That's the part that's fucked up to me. You'll reap the benefits of it,
hmm.
but you'll knock the fact that now that he's giving you all these benefits, he's taking his family and some of the players that he recruited and the coaches to another level. And now it's your job to continue what he started. They don't want to pull their own weight, and that's the issue.
Right, and it just seems like with Dion leaving, going to Colorado, and taking pretty much what he built with him to Colorado, I feel like Jackson State is going to go right back to where they were because whoever's going to come in after, I don't think they're going to hold the standard. And those other coaches, they're fine with not being. I'm like they were fine before. I'm like a lot of questions that some of these coaches I had never heard of before, but because they were playing against the Deion Sanders led Jackson State, it's one of those things where you get a comment like, "Oh, he ain't swag." Oh, that's a rivalry builder. Oh, there's actually tension between these schools. People love drama. Maybe they want to tune in now. So I'm like, it's one of those things where okay, because I know because the Bayou Classic is always usually between Southern and Grambling. Like I said, growing up, I would watch those two schools go at it, and it was like a barn burner each and every time, a heated rivalry between these schools. But that went away. All of a sudden, it's just like these schools just exist, and that's it. And now with Dion, he spent 2 years at Jackson State building that up, right?
Yep, coach of the year
So,
both years.
right. So obviously, that brought attention, that brought tension, that brought jealousy, envy, and it, like you was pointed out earlier, it brought a model to build from. And unfortunately, I think he's I'm like whoever comes in at Jackson afterwards, and even with the other schools, I don't think they're gonna learn anything. I think they're just gonna do what they normally did before he even got there, and just everything would just go right back to normal. We would never hear from these schools ever again until like another famous player, former player, comes through and wants to build it back up with the flair of Dion. So
Yeah.
we'll see. But hey, did you catch the the speech he gave to the Colorado players?
Oh yeah.
Woo!
I'm
Boy.
sorry. People hate honesty.
Hmm.
People hate honesty.
Mm.
Look, let's be honest. Every time there's a change in regime, they bring people, whoever's the leader, they bring people with them that have worked under them, that they're comfortable with, that they know what they're going to get from them. Your school went 1-11 this year. Who do you think he's honestly keeping? He was being honest. Get into the transfer portal. There's not a spot for you here. He told you day one. Would you rather him pretend that there's a spot for you here and you find out after the fact that there ain't and then you're asked out? Or would you rather him come in on day one and say, look, you motherfuckers already know it wasn't good enough what y'all did this year. Y'all were 1-11. I'm bringing some dogs with me. I already know who the quarterback is. We already got some positions locked down. You motherfuckers need to find somewhere to go because you ain't good enough to play here. That's the harsh reality. There ain't no participation trophies in this real life. People need to learn that.
You know.
This internet shit,
Mm-hmm.
this internet shit, it's not real. When you go places and apply to jobs, they might not tell you that shit to your face. You'll find out the hard way. There's another person applying for your job, and you literally just went to the job interview to fill out the fucking number of job interviews that they had to take.
Mm-hmm. And that's what I saw. I'm like, even at work today, I seen people interviewing for different positions, like back to back to back to back. You're not the only one that's applying for the job, and you're not the only one that's applying to interviews. But it's also preparing the kids for the harsh reality of some that want to go to the next level, which is
Yes.
the NFL at this point. And the harsh reality is, you may not make it day one. I'm like, and then you may find yourself as a journeyman. You may find yourself going to different training camps, traveling the country. You may wind up in the CFL. You may wind up in these other developmental leagues, the XFL, um, and may not make it back to the NFL. So it's just like, okay, it also introduces the fact that you got to have a backup plan, which should have been, applied from the very beginning, parents to their kids, like, hey, I know you play football, I know you're very good and whatnot, but what if it doesn't work? What if plan A doesn't work? Plan B, plan B should be right there and ready to go to. And then even there, if plan B doesn't work, plan C, plan D, whatever. Always have a backup. So, and that's what, looking at Dion, it's like, okay, you were playing here in Colorado, you finished 1-11. Your backup plan is either the portal or sweat it out while you're still here.
And you thought you were going to have a free ride for 4 years, play football, get all the glory, and none of the actual work was going to be put in to be a better football player. Y'all just going to struggle. 1-11, cool, I'm a football player. Keep getting all the pussy I want. Keep getting all the chicks in the fucking school, regardless of the fact that we suck. No! That's not how it works.
And wasn't it the Colorado players that were involved in that sexual misconduct or scandal some years back?
Might have been.
So
It might have been.
yeah, so it's just like all that foolishness. Dion brought it up. It's like the foolishness that was been here for decades ends today. I'm like, that wasn't an exact quote, but that's the demeanor he was. I mean, he's like walking down, like pacing back and forth in front of those players, and those players are just sitting there, just like, what in the world have we gotten ourselves into? I'm like, Well, you went 1-11. This is what you get.
We've seen this before, and it might have been put in nicer words than this. But like I say, with the new regime comes new members, and the members that were there before, it wasn't working. Let's recall, I know a lot of our listeners might not have seen the movie Lean on Me.
Mm,
What
yep.
happened when Morgan Freeman took over that school? The same thing. And what
Yep.
happened? They improved because he had people in places that he knew were going to be able to do the job. But if there's not a culture change, if there's not a culture shock, which is even more important, that's the precursor to a culture change, culture shock, the
Hmm.
shock to the system, almost like drinking really cold water in the middle of the night. Culture shock. Shit, this is different. I need to adjust. That is how the culture changes for good. That is how you are better than 1-11 next season. But I don't know, man. It's gonna be interesting. It's gonna be nonstop entertainment for me because I want to see what happens with these players that he brings from JSU to
Hmm.
Colorado, and they can't go fucking 0-12 next year, so they're gonna be better, right? It's just like Dan Campbell. Everybody, oh, Dan Campbell, all he does is run his mouth. No,
Hmm.
Dan Campbell, even if they're not over 500 right now, Dan Campbell is a winner in intention and practice. His practices, his tactics, his intensity, his energy, and his love for football is what has the Lions in games that you don't expect them to be in. It's what has them beating teams down like the Jaguars the other day
Hmm.
that aren't a bad team. That's how you get there. Culture change, culture shock. Okay, when you hear Jamal Williams in training camp yelling, emotional, damn near crying about how fucking shitty they were last year and telling them they need to up their level of intensity, those are the type of people that bring a change, a positive change to an environment. And people need to learn that. You're not always going to like it. Most times you're not going to like it.
Hmm.
People don't like change. Change ain't always bad.
Right. I'm like, I would say that that rings true even for a name change for the Washington Commanders. I don't like the name still, but I see there's been a change on that field, and we're seeing, the results of it now. It may not be all the way out because we still see people, and I think fans are always the last to change. Like the fan base is always the last bit to change, and our fan base, if we're just going to transition to the NFL real quick, our fan base is fickle as hell because despite Taylor Heineke going 6-1, well
Mm-hmm.
now 6-1-1, people are plotting left and right. Oh, Carson Wentz is probably going to start after the bye week. Oh, we don't have a real quarterback. Blah 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 blah. I'm like, really?
You just have a
This
guy. You
dude,
just have a guy that wins.
right? I'm like, these are the same fans that would complain about Alex Smith when he was 6-2. Oh, he's not throwing the ball far enough. I'm like, he's 6-2.
Yep.
He doesn't have to throw the ball far as long as they win the game. I'm like, well, teams are not gonna be afraid of him throwing the deep ball. Well, they can't stop him throwing the short ball. I mean, I'm like, we're the same fan base that got rid of a kicker because his kicks were shaky. Not because I'm like, he had key misses, but what kicker doesn't have it? I'm like, oh, what's the name had a key miss that fell short for the Ravens that they wound up losing that game.
Tugger.
Um,
Tugger.
yeah, Justin Tucker. I'm like, he's supposed to make a 60+ yard field
Yeah, he's
goal,
the
and,
greatest of all time, in my opinion.
his kick fell short. I'm like, what's going on with the leg? I don't hear Ravens fans talking about, oh, what's going on with that leg? No, it just happened. I'm like,
Patriots
if
fans.
oh god.
Patriots fans saw Mac Jones get hurt.
Mm-hmm.
Saw a kid come in that was dynamic and that caused a change in how they ran the offense for a split second and got happy. And look, I'm a Bailey Zappi fan. I'm not gonna act like I'm not. But I'm also not a person who claimed that Mac Jones was the next fucking coming. all because I wanted to move forward from Tom Brady. That's what these motherfuckers did. Oh, we're fine. They did it the first game with Cam Newton when he ran for a touchdown and Brady who? Yeah, Brady who? Brady who? Now you motherfuckers asking for Bailey Zappi. I finally have seen Patriots fans shit on Bill Belichick. I've finally seen it. I've been waiting for years for y'all to come over to the dark side and accept the fact that this motherfucker's a fraud. And you finally accepted it. It took y'all seeing Mac Jones get pulled from the game and Belichick lying and saying it wasn't a performance thing and that both quarterbacks are going to play anyway. And they end up going out there and losing that fucking game to the Bears at home. It took that. And then it took an embarrassing loss to who they fucking lose to last week. Lost to the Bills. It was fucking embarrassing. Not last week. When did they lose to the Bills?
About to say, but that was
Thursday. They lose to at home.
It was 24-10.
Yeah, they got cooked at home. They scored the first touchdown, and all they had was a field goal for the next fucking 56 minutes of football. I mean, fans are fickle, but, you know, the fickleness of the Patriots fans in this situation is not misplaced because Bill Belichick opened that door by benching him after he brought him back and he wasn't ready to play. So you put Bailey Zappi on the bench, you start Mac Jones. Mac Jones ain't ready to play. Mac Jones comes out, shows he's not ready to play. You bench him after an interception, which is a clear indication that it was a performance issue, not your plan. You bring in Bailey Zappi. Bailey Zappi's confidence is now hurt because you started Mac Jones instead of him. You didn't start him and say, we'll bring Mac Jones in and just see how he is, see how he's coming along, and Zappi. No, you didn't do that. You benched Zappi and said, word, our quarterback's back. And then he came back and he threw a pick. And he's played fucking terrible. And you took him out. And then you put Bailey Zappi in. I said, bro, Bill Belichick might be the greatest coach of all time because he ruined 2 quarterbacks' confidence in a matter of 5 minutes. I ain't never seen that shit before. He killed both of the quarterbacks on his team in a matter of 5 minutes.
Yeah, meanwhile, Rivera did that to one quarterback, and that was Carson Wentz. So,
and then tried to walk that shit back because Carson Wentz played well the next week.
Right. Now, I'll tell you what. I tell you a fan base that isn't fickle. They're just outright upset, and that's the Denver Broncos.
Broncos country.
Let's hide.
Let's hide. Look, man.
That situation. Now, okay. As of right now, I think as of right now, we can safely say, I don't know, it may be too soon, but we can kind of say that this is probably the worst trade result in history. This kind of replaces the Albert Haynesworth debacle. You know, dude like to fall asleep in the middle of a play, not wake up. And Michael Vick is just running everywhere. But we got a guy that rather do Subway commercials with subs and voiceovers, and with the advertising with Broncos Let's Ride, and then after that horrible game, that one horrible game, which he's had several, with that weak ass Broncos country, and then as he's walking off, you can kind of hear him like, "Let's ride." I'm like, what the hell is up with you, Sarah? Is Sierra not giving it up? I'm sure she's probably looking at him like, "The fuck are you doing? This is not why I'm with you." I'm like, I was here.
This is what happens, though. This is what happens when a guy that is all talk in the media as far as his positivity. This is what happens when he's backed into a corner and his teammates say, no, show me, motherfucker. Show me on the field. I don't want to hear your rah-rah speech. Play better. Play better. Like, I don't want to hear your... Like, when that lineman was walking off the field, Russell Wilson clearly said some shit to him because that lineman told him about himself right then and there. I don't
Nah,
know if he said, "Oh, I don't know why you're fighting out there." He probably like, "Hey, bitch, why don't you complete pass? Why don't
nah.
you?"
Russell Wilson would probably what he said to it is he was about to say that line again, and that lineman turned to him like, "Nah, motherfucker, you die now."
Like,
Right? But
I try to tell people this man is not who y'all think he is. I was saying this shit. Yo, y'all could go back in the archives to the podcast that should not be named. And I remember talking after that year, or actually during that year, that they went to the Super Bowl to play the Patriots in the Super Bowl. I said the kiss of death to that team is when you build that team around Russell Wilson. And that offensive lineman coach saying, "Oh, well, you're asking me how we're going to incorporate Marshawn into the offense. Marshawn needs to figure out how to incorporate himself." I said, "Yep, that's it. It's over." They went, he threw that fucking slant. Malcolm Butler picked it off. The Seahawks were never the same again. They
still,
built that entire team around him. They drafted receivers. They couldn't draft an offensive line. They just now got their defense back to where it should be. And now they're improving and actually playing great football. Why? Because all the pressure's not on Geno. They've gone back to running the ball effectively and playing great defense. Oh, well, is that a coincidence? Oh, well, Russell Wilson been injured. Okay, cool. Is he injured this year? No, he's not. He's fucking healthy, and he's paid. And when you're healthy and paid, that's what you want to remain. Is healthy and fucking paid. You don't give a fuck about winning as much as you claim you do. You don't give a fuck about your teammates because you were talking about, oh, well, while they were all sleeping on the plane, I was doing high knees. Oh, yeah, so they're just lazy, sleeping in the middle of the night, right? Because you're doing high knees thousands of feet in the fucking air. So I guess they're lazy because they want to get some sleep because, you know, they were playing last week, not fucking sitting down with his hamstring, whatever the fuck he hurt. Oh, I'm sorry, Russell, Mr. Captain America, Mr. Unlimited. Unlimited L's. That's what you're taking right now. Unlimited L's. There's no limit to how many losses y'all can have this season.
that's a lot of L's in Russell Wilson.
It's a lot of fucking L's, and there's more added after this season. You know I'm calling you Russell. Okay? Like, I liked Russell Wilson coming out of college, but I never thought he was a franchise quarterback, and he's not. He hasn't proven himself to be. They have not won anything under his watch.
Now, here's the funny thing. Now, everybody forgets that Russell Wilson struggled at the beginning of his rookie season until they start running read option. They basically looked at what Washington was doing with RG3. So, as of now, RG3 is the precursor for all these quarterbacks that are running read option. So, when Russell Wilson started running read option, that helped him for the rest of the season. It changed the trajectory of his career going forward. But we started seeing that when you made him a drop back quarterback, he starts doing shit, random shit, like scrambling around like a squirrel in the backfield, turning his back downfield and running into sacks, fumbling the ball, throwing the ball away and getting picked off. And then now you have a coach there in Denver that doesn't know what he's doing with a quarterback that, is struggling because I'm like, seeing the games that he has played, it just seems like read option is not that much in existence.
No.
But let me read off some stats. I'm gonna read all his stat line, which I really shouldn't have to read off because everyone knows he's playing terribly. But let's look at it. So his QBR, 35. That's horrible. His completion percentage, 60. He's barely holding on to the lower end threshold of what quarterbacks should be. What's the standard for quarterbacks these days? 65, 70?
65-ish.
Yeah. So he's way below the standard.
And let's remember just real quick, he's not throwing the ball deep. And his completion percentage is a 60. Well, let's cut Melvin Gordon because Melvin Gordon's the problem here. That's what the problem is. Melvin Gordon was throwing them picks, and the scapegoating is wild to me. It is your fault you paid him that guaranteed money.
All right, and then let me see.
It's even worse if you look at his game log.
Oh yeah, that's going to be the next thing I'm going to start reading out because we have the last. Let's see, we have Jacksonville, Tennessee, Las Vegas, Carolina, just readily in front of me. So okay, so far he has 8 touchdown passes, which I think is less than Carson Wentz.
He's tied for 29th.
Mm-hmm.
I'm sorry, he's not tied for 29th. He has sole possession of 29th place. I'm sorry, let me not insult him.
All right, so speaking of game logs, so passing, I have the most recent being the game in Baltimore, which that finished 10-9 as a final score. And of course, they lost that game. Like he had 5 incompletions, so he was shooting around 77%. Okay.
189 yards. He averaged 8.6 yards per completion.
And did not throw a single touchdown pass, but he didn't throw an interception, but he was sacked a couple times. So really, he didn't do much there.
And
Now,
they lost to a team that lost their quarterback in the first quarter.
yep,
Star quarterback.
Mm-hmm. And then we look at Carolina, where oh God.
They
First
lost
of all,
to a team that doesn't have a quarterback in there.
Right.
He's playing in the fucking what, AAF? PJ Walker? Or a Sam Darnold back. Whoever the fuck it is. I mean, they just cut Baker Mayfield today.
Wait a minute. They cut him?
They cut him. They released him.
Wow. Damn. Well, so much for that. So, okay, he went 19 for 35, 142 yards, of course, 54%. Had 1 touchdown pass, but it was sacked 3 times. And yeah.
4 yards per game.
Yeah, 4.1. All right, so, and of course, they lost in overtime to Las Vegas. That was 22-16. 24.
He didn't throw a touchdown.
Nope.
And 247 is, what? One of the best games he's had as far as yardage this year.
286 in the next game against Tennessee.
I'm saying, yeah, 286, 274.
But they lost that game too. And this completion, yeah, and these let's see, the last 1, 2, 3. They're right now they're on a 4-game losing streak. So the last 4, the last victory he had was against Jacksonville, 21-17. Let's see, 252 yards, 1 touchdown, 1 interception. Probably the let's see. Besides the Baltimore game, he averaged 8.4 yards per pass, but he was right on the dot at 60%. So he's just struggled. Like I'm looking at his career numbers. Obviously, they're going to include this season's numbers, but his career numbers are now taking a hit. Now he's at 64.7, in which he pretty much was around like 66, 67 beforehand. His career rating is at 100. They don't have the career QBR on here, but and I keep running into this. I'm getting off of ESPN because I keep running into ads and it keeps throwing me off because all of a sudden it plays right in my ear and I can't even hear you half the time when those ads come in. But I think we made our point.
I'm trying to find the deep ball accuracy for this year.
Oh yeah, the
just
next
to see
stats.
how much, like how often he's thrown the ball deep. He's not even on this list.
Yeah, because who they gonna throw to? And the thing is, it's like I know, like when we talk about quarterbacks and what they can, do according to the weapons around them. I'm like, you paid Russell Wilson the amount of money to come to in a part of a trade to work a miracle. I'm like, you have serviceable receivers. You should be able to do stuff with this because you're Russell Wilson. We paid you all this money. We sacrificed the future. We even sent the quarterback that is not even starting in Seattle now. And this is how you repay us? Like, no, you actually screwed yourself, Denver, because you got a coach that from day one, the first game, showed us that he doesn't know what the hell he's doing. Now, could be wrong. Coach could improve because we were all looking at Philly's coach, calling him crazy. He looked like he was clueless in his first interview, and look what he's doing. He was able to find the right buttons to press and motivate that team to where they are right now with that one loss against the Commanders.
Yep.
So I'm like, he's pressing all the right buttons. He's doing exactly what needs to be done. This Denver coach and the quarterback in tandem are not doing what needs to be done in order for Denver to be successful. And of course the defense is going to curse him out
Well,
because what's up?
Russell Wilson is in the bottom half of the league. Matter of fact, I think he's in 25 and below as far as starting quarterbacks, as far as attempts, 10 plus yards.
That's sick.
I mean,
That is sick. I'm like, Taylor Heineke is probably a better deep ball thrower than Russell Wilson right now.
That used to be his gift. That used to be, oh, Russell Wilson, he throws such a great deep ball. Better luck next year.
He does.
Better luck next year, Mr. Unlimited.
Oh boy, but the but the rest of the NFL, let's actually look at the playoff scenarios, because right now it's looking like in the NFC,
the entire NFC East is going to make it.
Well, as of right now, because of that tie, Washington is on the outside looking in, because Seattle now, because their victory, they're in that final spot. But it looks like it's a possibility that the whole entire NFC East could get in what, for the first time ever, a whole division getting in. Now,
Correct.
It's funny when they set up these divisions and they set up this playoff format. It was meant for parity. It was meant for at least enough teams in each division to get in. Under the old format, this would never happen. I'm like, the best got in, and that was that. Now all of a sudden you got teams in other divisions. I'm like, Washington was 7-9 as a division winner a few seasons ago during the pandemic.
5-6 right now.
Right, and probably going to host the Cowboys first round.
Hold out.
Right, and then the Giants, they'll probably finish, 10 or 11 or something, and they'll have to travel on the road to probably the West winner. I think as of right now, when Washington was slated in, we would have to travel to Minnesota, in which Minnesota is a far superior team than, a Tampa and whoever finishes out in the West.
But this goes back to my point that I was making when we were on the other podcast. It will not be named. I will continue to say that. I said, look, I love the divisional setup. I love the fact I think there's still some value to winning your division.
Mm-hmm.
But if you're under 500 and the team that you're playing, that you'd be hosting a game against, has a better record than you should not be allowed to host that fucking game. You should have to go on the road. That should be the discretionary. If you're over 500 or you're 500, I can deal with that.
Mm-hmm.
But if you're 7-9 and the team you're playing is like, or 7-10, I guess it would be, and the team you're playing is like 11-6, fuck that. No, you need to go on the road. You don't deserve a fucking home game, because every other team in your division was shit too, because they were all under 500 and they had worse records than you. You won your division by default. You won a shitty division. It's like, I hate that. And look, the Buccaneers, I'm pulling for the Buccaneers this year.
Mm-hmm.
They might be that team. They should not get a home game against a team like Dallas. They shouldn't. That's terrible.
Yeah, because that year it should have been Tampa hosting Washington.
Yes.
In that game, and we got to see one of the best games in that playoff year.
Yeah.
And it was the birth of Taylor Heineke, because he showed out. I'm like, that's what I'm forever grateful for him. And I'm grateful to his service as the Washington quarterback. I get tired of folks complaining about him. I'm like, look, you get what you get. Well, like, this franchise never really had. I'm like, if you think about it, we've won 3 Super Bowls with 3 different quarterbacks. That's pretty much Joe Gibbs. So it was like, look, we need a strong line, good receivers, serviceable running back, and a good defense. And I feel like with Washington right now, I think they can get in. I don't necessarily think they will, because there's always something that happens with Washington where they look like it's going to happen. Like the game against Minnesota. They should have beat Minnesota. Didn't happen for whatever reason, whatever play calling, whatever execution that was fucked up at the moment. That's what happened. I'm like, we should have won this game against the Giants because of execution and because of just play selection, poor play selection, and having Taylor throw the ball almost every other down. It when we had a solid game plan with Brian Robinson, who has made a miraculous comeback from being shot so many times, what 4 times in his knee, and he's like running over people left and right. It's like, look, we know that's the team's identity in Washington is that you run the ball, run play action, play defense. That's it. There's no don't think too much about it. Do that, make us stop the run, and then we can have at it because we have 3 explosive weapons at wide receiver. One could play running back.
La-
So,
I was gonna say just the last thing I'll say because I know we gotta wrap up soon, but
mm-hmm,
um, people need to go back and do their research. There are a lot of teams that have won with so-so quarterbacks and weren't world beaters. Okay, most times the great quarterbacks are actually the ones that are doing more or less. They don't win because
mm-hmm,
they're running into a team that has a decent enough quarterback that make plays when he has to, and a stout defense or a superstar running back or any number of things. They have a better combination of pieces around them. If Taylor Heineke is a guy that's going to protect the football and make plays when he needs to because he's a winner at heart. If he's that guy, you guys need to stick with him and realize that there aren't many quarterbacks out there right now that are going to take you to the next level or have you in a position that Taylor Heineke has you in because, like I said, he just knows how to win. He just does. He makes
mm-hmm.
winning plays. He's not killing your team.
Yeah,
And, yeah.
I was gonna say this fan base doesn't know what the it factor is. They don't know that it exists and can exist on this team. And when you look at Taylor Heineke, he has it. You don't know what it is, but so far it's been 6-1-1.
You don't think the Bears would have rather had Taylor Heineke than Rex Grossman? You don't think some of the teams that won the Super Bowl that had Jeff Hostetler
Mm-hmm.
or I won't say Brad Johnson. Brad Johnson's pretty good. Uh,
Uh,
fucking
what's the name that played for the Ravens when they won in 2000? Dilfer.
was Trent Dilfer, and Trent Dilfer wasn't bad. He just had injuries and made some dumb throws sometimes.
Right.
But
And
like,
they started
yeah,
that year with Tony Banks at quarterback
yeah.
before they made that switch.
But the point is, it's just like you're not always gonna have the flashy quarterback. You're not always gonna have the world beater. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Um, it's not reality. It's not reality.
Right.
Look at how many times Peyton Manning missed the Super Bowl being the number one seed because they ran through the regular season. Playoffs is different. Super Bowl's very different. You need a team.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, I mean, it's that simple. But
Right. And I know we're about like 4 minutes. We got to wrap up real quick. But yeah, so pretty much there's going to be more we're going to discuss down the road. I'm thinking about maybe having a show next week because
sure.
there's definitely some stuff that we need to cover and we're going to get to because I'm like, playoff chase with the NFL. We just talked about a little bit of it. The NBA, we didn't even get to the NBA. I was thinking about the AEW. I
Yeah.
could possibly, because I know Bills has to go, I could talk about AEW, but it's not going to be a complete discussion without Bills because we definitely need to talk about AEW. So I know the NBA, we was going to mainly talk about the Lakers because as of right now, Anthony Davis is on fire.
55.
5 points
Double
against
nickels.
against the Wizards.
I was gonna ask you specifically because you're a Wizards fan. I don't know if you watched the game or not, but
I caught the tail end of it, and it wasn't pretty. It was not pretty. I think Bill was hurt in the middle of that game. They said
yeah, I saw that.
what think he hurt his hamstring.
Mm-hmm.
So, but that game is just like when the Wizards are sloppy. I'm like there were 3 dunks in a row down that stretch at the final moments of that game. What was it? Gafford had a dunk off of alley oop. It was just an amazing alley oop dunk.
I saw that.
and then LeBron finished with a dunk on the other end, and then Porzingis got the and one on the dunk on the opposite end. It's just like, okay, what is this, the All-Star game?
The last thing I'll say is
Mhm.
AD back under the basket. I don't know how many times I've said it on Twitter. I'm sure y'all have seen me. If he takes another three, I'm turning this game off. This is why. When he's 10 feet and in, he's unstoppable. And we're seeing it. He had 44 the night before that, or the game before that. I mean, come on,
Yeah,
bro.
he's been on a run, so
More
this
of
is
this.
this is not a fluke. This is something that needs to be more of a reality. Not a Lakers fan, but I want to see players do well and not do things that go against their overall game. I'm like, if taking less threes and being closer to the basket improves your overall game, makes you more of a threat, makes your team better, I'm all for it.
Mm-hmm.
No, end of story.
Yes, sir.
All right, so we're gonna get out of here. Thank you, Subliminary, for joining in. I know you were one of one that made it, but we're probably going to plan on having a show next week because, like I said, a lot to cover that we weren't able to get to tonight. So I wouldn't even think about this as a part one, part two. This would be 46. Next week would be 47. My work schedule will actually be a little bit lighter. I'm actually at the end of filling in, and now I'm actually going to have more time. So um, thank you, Bills, for coming in for
No
this
problem.
evening. And any final words before we go?
Yeah, man. Just thank you for complimentary for showing up. I know some people will show up when we're at our regular time, obviously. And yeah, we're gonna be back with a lot of great topics next week, and a little bit less controversy, I guess, for some of the people that prefer that.
Oh yeah, and my final shot. Aha! Houston Texans lost to Deshaun Watson.
You sorry bitches in the damn. They were
That's what
probably in
you
that luxury
get.
box.
That's
They were
what you,
fuck
right.
them. Fuck them.
Exactly. That's what y'all get.
Shout out to LeVar Arrington for saying what I felt was very apropos. When you do shit like that and you claim that he victimized you and did all this shit, and then you show up and watch him play football, you just really are making him the sentimental figure because it's like, you motherfuckers didn't even take him to court on criminal charges. You just wanted money. And you got the money, and now you're still around.
Right.
Fuck out of here.
Anyway, and again, for those that don't know, with all that attention elsewhere, Brett Favre stole your kids' money. And that's it. That's a wrap for this show. Episode 46 is in the books. Join us next week. Don't know which day, but we'll make it happen for next week. Episode 47, Bills, myself. So thank you guys for coming out. God bless. Good night.
Peace.